what's happening, y'all? Well, forget the introduction. I'm gonna just get right into it. You guys already heard the news that Tyson Fury and Wladimir Klitschko rematch, which is scheduled for October 29th, has been postponed yet again. Um, the earlier reports that came out regarding this news was more of a hearsay, given the fact that it couldn't be confirmed by either Peter Fury or Wladimir Klitschko's camps, or Tyson Fury's camps, I should say. But the word was, the initial report stated that it was Tyson Fury's camps that called Wladimir Klitschko camp and informed them that they would have to withdraw, they have to postpone the fight once more. But there was no reason whatsoever behind the postponement. Numerous reporting outlets over in the UK tried to reach out to, including boxing scene, try to reach out to Fury's camps and whatnot to get a explanation on this, and they haven't yet to return any calls. But a latest report that came out from BBC Sport, they've indicated that the reason why this fight's being put on hold or postponed due to a medically unfit situation. Now, we can only assume that this pertained to Tyson Fury. The reason why the first fight was postponed due to the fact that he suffered a very severe ankle injury, whatnot. But let's be honest here, and I'm going to be brutally honest here. This is something we can't negate. Now, you can call me a conspiracy theorist all you want to, but I'm stating my opinion here. After he won that lineal unified titles from Wladimir Klitschko, Tyson Fury went on, he was celebrating, he was partying, and he was pretty much getting himself out of shape after that win. Okay? Yeah, he was he was doing a lot of media dates. He was pretty much becoming a brand new star in the UK after throwing a champion who had a 10-year reign, and rightfully so. But he started to make after he made some derogatory comments towards Jews and in the gays, his world started to really crumble. I mean, you had a lot of social groups come after him, demanding that he be suspended or stripped of his title, some type of reprimand be made towards him. Okay, then after that situation had cleared up, then he sustains an ankle injury, which postponed the first fight with Klitschko, and then after that postponement, now the revelations came out that he took a banned substance prior to his first fight with Wladimir Klitschko. And now UKAD, which stands for the United Kingdom Anti-Doping Agency, is now investigating it. And he has a hearing with UKAD by November. Now, speaking of November, the fight was rescheduled for October 29th. Now that's been called off. Tyson Fury will exceed his 1-year deadline where he had to defend his WBA and WBO heavyweight titles. So, with that said, he more than likely will be stripped of his titles. However, I believe he will still be able to keep his lineal title, heavyweight title. So even if the alphabet titles would be vacated, he would still be the universally recognized heavyweight champion of the world, which is a very odd situation. All right, but yeah, this is very unfortunate. Another black eye for boxing, particularly in the heavyweight division, especially when the heavyweight division had a great 2015. Start off with the year pretty good this year, and now we've had so many fights that's been postponed or canceled. We had the Wilder Povetkin fight get canceled due to we all know that the controversy over Povetkin's drug test situation with Melania, and you had the what else? Luis Ortiz and Alexander Usyk fight be called off. We had the Andy Ruiz and the Hughie Fury fight being called off. So it's like boxing is really going into the toilet, as of late. We getting a lot of these cancellations, getting a lot of postponements. We getting a lot of fights that we want to see, all the dream matchups that we want to see be made, getting dragged out, being played out by the quote unquote. We have to build a fight so that we can get more fan interest. Shut the fuck up with that, okay? With these promoters who want to bring this, who wants to continue to use this, we have to build a fight. We have to build a fight so we can increase the demand. No, that day and age is gone. And shout out to Mr. Boxing Today, by the way, because I've seen this video on this. I believe, and I have to agree, that the we have to build a fight statue or marketing scheme has pretty much died out. And the reason why is because the social media platform has grown. And after the Mayweather-Pacquiao disaster, boxing has really took a tank because that fight was such a disaster. It was terrible performance by both men. Let's just be honest here. Pacquiao gave a terrible performance. Floyd does what he does. But let's be honest here, guys. He had met Pacquiao neutralized. Pacquiao couldn't do anything with him. He should have gone for the knockout, and that's what his father was imploring him to do, Floyd Sr. in the corner, to knock out Pacquiao, get him out of there, close the show. But, knowing Floyd, he chooses to stay safe, keep it cautious, and do what he does best. Hey, that's what he does. But needless to say, both men didn't perform above the standards that people paid so much money to see. That's the bottom line, guys. And after that fight, man, it's just so frustrating as an uploader or a boxing fan, by that matter, to be doing videos or even commenting or write blogs because there's just no excitement now, Just no excitement. And, we were counting on the heavyweight division to continue its momentum and pace, going back to, late 2015. And now all these cancellations are happening due to managerial disputes, as Andy Ruiz now came out and said the reason why he pulled out of the Fury fight, Huey Fury that is, because of managerial disputes. Oh my goodness, I don't know. And you got Usmanov who pulled out of his fight due to the the fact that he didn't want to subject to VADA testing. Okay, man, oh man. And another thing I want to talk about here is the PBC, and shout out to Dream Tyson, because he did a video on this, and this is something we can't neglect. All right, now. I've made a video like months and months ago about Al Haymon and the PBC brand, how they're in decline due to its lavish spending of investors' money. Okay, now the Waldo Reed Group was the money that was funneled. That was funneled to for the PBC brand. Okay, now Al Haymon's marketing scheme for the PBC brand was to buy up airtime with various air networks to present boxing back on a free platform where the public can get access to the sport, where they, pretty much didn't have to subject it to a subscription type of environment like HBO and Showtime does to watch fights or pay-per-view, by that matter. Okay, now it is a great idea. It's great. I like the idea to present boxing on a free-to-air network platform. I agree with that idea. However, there's people who make comments who support Al Haymon, which I do support him to a degree. I'll admit, I criticized him early on with the PBC brand because when he debuted with it last year, some of the good matchups that we were asking for a long while were made. We had the Danny Garcia versus Lamont Peterson, and we have Robert Guerrero versus Keith Thurman. Those are two fights that we were happy that they were made, and Adrian Broner versus John Molina. However, with the exception of the Keith Thurman and Robert Guerrero, the other two fights didn't really hold no merit. And I'll tell you why. Danny Garcia and Lamont Peterson were world champions, alphabet champions. Danny Garcia was a lineal and unified champion at the 140-pound light welterweight division. And that was a fight that everyone wanted to see. And when the fight finally got made, we said, great, we can get a unification bout. But it didn't turn out to be a unification bout. It turned out to be a catchweight over the 140-pound limit, which made the fight a welterweight, which also means that the titles were not on the line. Now, I'm not saying it wasn't a good fight. It was a pretty decent fight, It drew a lot of views, but the problem is that a lot of fans, particularly hardcore fans, were very upset about that because what was the point of making a fight against two of the best fighters in the division? They're not fighting for the titles. It made no sense whatsoever. Okay, same thing with Adrian Broner versus John Molina Jr. Yes, we expect Molina Jr. to go all out on Broner, but he didn't perform to his standards. Okay, I know it's not Broner's fault, but again, it's just like the fight was a disappointment. That's a disappointment. That's the bottom line. The PBC had put on horrendous mismatches back in 2015, which pissed off a lot of fans like myself and others. Okay, and you got other guys. I was going to go ahead and finish my initial statement about this. Other guys are saying this is free to air. It's free boxing. What are you complaining about? Well, I'm gonna tell you something. Just because you present a product that's free doesn't mean that we have to accept it because of the quality. Okay, when you present a product, you have to deliver the quality, and the PBC back then didn't present the quality. However, I will give credit when credit is due. Oh, before I get into that, and due to that, Al Heyman and his group, the promoters like Lou DeBell and whatnot, they were paying out these high purses for fighters, obscure opposition. Now, I'm not a guy who's going to tell you, say, you know what, I'm not going to tell you what you deserve, what you not deserve. Okay, I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that when you take on obscure opposition again, a big payday, fans are going to be turned off about that. And it also kind of reminds me, it also reflects on I can recall on the Danny Garcia's father's comment, Angel Garcia, when he was asked about his son's latest, level opposition after the Mauricio Herrera fight. The Angel Garcia pretty much openly admitted, which we've been saying for a while now back then, that why would you want to take a big money fight and fight a very risky and dangerous opponent while you could fight a Raw Salka and make more money? This is what Angel Garcia said. This is what he said. And it's unbelievable that he said that. It's wow. Okay. But, that was back in 2015 when PBC didn't have that great year. Okay. It's not a good year. They pretty much burnt 80% of the investors' money from Waddle & Reed. And from one of the reports, Waddle & Reed sued the hedge fund that funneled the money to the PBC. Well, actually, no. That hedge fund got sued by investors for the live spending that took place with the PBC structure. I don't know what's going on with that lawsuit. I haven't heard anything latest about that. Maybe there was some type of settlement that was made, but if anybody have any information about that, please let me know in the comment section. But as I was going to state, I have to give credit when credit is due. Okay? Al Heyman has put on better matchups this year with the PBC brand. Let's be honest here. We have the Thurman Porter fight. We also had some other good matchups as well. As it doesn't come off to my head, come up on top of my head. We had Carl Frampton versus Leo Santa Cruz. We also had Anthony Joshua versus Charles Martin. Of course, Heyman's responsible for that. Okay, so along with Eddie Hearn. So Al Heyman, you gotta give Al Heyman credit when credit is due. He's actually put on various this year. But some would argue, and I have to green chase this video, some would argue, is it a little too late now? Given the fact that all the $500 million has been spent lavishly, is it really going to hurt the PBC? To be honest with you, I hope not, because what they're doing is great now, opposed to last year. Now, from what I've heard, the PBC may be expanding to the UK. Let's just hope it doesn't die out, man, because the signs of PBC is not looking good right now, given there's a report by Dan Raphael that came out. And also their ratings are still, the ratings are strong in other places, other networks, but as far as NBC is concerned, the ratings has been dipping. So, yeah, man, it's just goes to show that, let's not get it twisted. Those who don't like the PBC, who don't like Al Heyman, they have this hatred for him. Don't get your hopes up there, okay? Because you have to understand, if you're a fan of HBO, and there's reasons why you are, HBO is not faring well either. They're in a much worse situation because they couldn't even afford the Manny Pacquiao fight to be put on pay-per-view. We all know that story. So they're actually on a serious decline on their budget, where they're only limiting certain fights. They were even going to fund the Golovkin and Jacobs fight until Canelo pulled out and said that, I can't fight for the remainder of the year, because he's out with a hand injury. So that frees up some funds to fund the Golovkin fight if it were to be put on HBO. So that just goes to show that HBO's priority is Canelo Alvarez. Needless to say more, Showtime ratings have declined just slightly as well. It's like all these networks are suffering right now. Everybody in boxing is suffering at this point. Everyone. And the reason being is because we have this cat and mouse game with all these fighters and management want to play. We got to build a fight strategy to get fans interest. We got to offer me more money for me to take this fight. I'm not going to fight this guy. He agrees to catch weight. It's like all these bickering, all this back and forth fighting, man. And I think the reason why boxing is in a big decline is because of the power of social media. And this goes back to Mr. Boxing Today. They have to understand, the people who does the business side of boxing, they have to understand that social media is so prevalent now that we as fans and we as uploaders have the responsibility to put pressure on you to make the fights that we pay to see. Okay? If you're not delivering, then yeah, it's going to take a toll on your business, because we have a voice and we have a power over social media to tell fans or even casuals to not pay attention to your product. That's the bottom line. Now, if this was back in the 90s, you can get away with that, because back then social media didn't exist. Yes, the internet did exist, but the only voice that we had was through blogs. And not too many people paid attention to blogs, or nor people could find blogs. So with that said, with all these cancellations and the dipping of ratings and the huge decline of pay-per-view, and that's obviously due to the growing what's the word I'm looking for? The growing appearance of live streaming. I think that the powers behind the boxing infrastructure just need to wake up and start matching these guys tough. In fact, they need to take a page out of Dana White's book. Okay, now Dana White may be a crooked asshole for the UFC. I get that, but he matches guys tough. He don't care if you're the cash cow or not. If you're the cash cow, you have to deliver the results. You have to give fans give them the fights they want to see. And Dana White is very, very good at putting on very good fights. And this is the reason why the UFC is killing boxing, because of his model and his structure. And he's the reason why the UFC didn't go bankrupt. He rescued that company and made it into a multi-billion-dollar empire. Him and Lorenzo, both of them did it. So I think all these promoters and all these other management teams, they need to take a page from Dana White's book and learn how to run a promotional company, or better yet, how to make good matchups. Point blank. So again, this is just me being fair and impartial on looking at everything from all aspects and all angles. And so I know some people are going to come at me with this video and say, well, what are you doing, Dan? What are you talking about? Boxing is in a very good shape. No, it's not in a good shape with all these cancellations and all these postponements and all these guys playing cat and mouse about why they pulled out of fights because they couldn't get certain advantages, or they didn't want certain drug testing companies involved in the fights. It's enough is enough, man. This has got to stop. Let me know what your thoughts are. I'm out. Peace.